I need to walk in that faith. Every day I face situations where I'm either going to trust God or I'm going to operate in what I can explain. Now, I think God does ask us to use our heads and to a lot of times make decisions that just make sense. But sometimes I have this sense that God wants me to step out in significant faith. And I would believe that would be true of any of us as staff members. We don't want to pass those by because some of the greatest blessings are when we step out in faith. I'm going to give you an illustration of that. I had the opportunity to speak to the team at Kansas State University. And I couldn't actually share the gospel. That was the limitation. I could, though, share my testimony. So I came in to the session there with the team. They were all suited up and everything for their last practice before the game the next day. And I was all excited about sharing, particularly because this team hadn't been doing well this year. They were 0-6. And they were playing Iowa State University the next day, and they were ranked number 11 in the nation at that point. So, this didn't look too good for them. And as I started sharing my testimony, I could tell these guys at least didn't seem very interested. When is this going to be over? What will the coach think of next? We're 0-6. He's getting desperate. That's what I felt, anyway. And I had this strange experience. I've only had it a few times, where I was speaking and saying something, and God was telling me to say something different. And I'm having this discussion with God off to the side mentally, and I'm trying to talk to the group. That's very difficult to do. And I remember saying to God, no, I can't say that. Oh, no, I couldn't say that. This was my reaction to what God was saying. And finally, I just capitulated, and I said, okay, God, this is against my better judgment, but I will just step out in faith and do what you said for me to say. So here's what I said. Well, men, I don't know how many of you believe in prayer, but I do. And tomorrow, when you play Iowa State University, number 11th ranked team in the nation, I'm going to pray that you win. That's what God told me to say. Now, you don't ever say that, do you? You just don't want to get into that arena. Well, the staff at the back of the room, of course, didn't have the benefit of this conversation with God, and they all just about passed out. Oh, no, we've ruined our ministry. There's no way they're going to win. Well, I left town the next day for obvious reasons, and as I was on the airplane, it was about the time of the game, and I wrote a note to the coach. I figured I was already in this up to my neck, and I wrote a note to the coach and said, well, I just want you to know, I realize you're playing the game, and I'm praying still that you will win. Dropped it in the mail at O'Hare Field, and I took the bus out to Rockford, Illinois, my hometown. Well, I turned on the sports that night with great interest. Big upset of the day. Kansas State beats Iowa State. Even God couldn't do that. Was my level of faith probably, but he did it. That wasn't the biggest part of it, though. I got a call from the director at Kansas State a couple days later. He said, you're not going to believe it. I said, I know, they won. It was incredible. He said, oh, no, it's much bigger than that. I said, what could be bigger than that? He said, later, 12 of those athletes came to Christ as our staff members met with him. And he said, let me read to you from the front page of the sports section of the Manhattan newspaper. Douglas, my name, parentheses, who? Key to Kansas State win. Apparently, they had interviewed him and said, how did this happen? And he was racking his brain for what he did differently. It wasn't the new offense or new defense. He said, well, I brought this motivational speaker in to share a little bit. And so the big question was, so what did he share? On campus for the next couple of weeks, what did he share? You talk about being open to the gospel spreading. Our staff had a heyday being able to say, well, I'll tell you what he said, and talk about God. See, we need to step out in faith. It was very tempting not to do that in that circumstance. And I suspect you would have that same experience a lot of times where it seems like God's saying to do such and such. If he says it, you better do it. And very likely there's a great blessing right around the corner.